Hey guys, so I wanted to talk to you today about one of the toughest things in weight loss or reducing your overall body fat, which is staying accountable. Now, making sure that you're accountable for your actions and making sure that you're accountable for your goals is one of the toughest things. And when you've got a goal and you want to try and lose some weight, or you're trying to lose some body fat, or maybe make a few healthier changes, maybe improve a bit of muscle mass or get healthier, these are the changes that we want to make, but making sure that we're accountable for those is really, really difficult. So for a lot of us, willpower and motivation isn't enough to keep us accountable and on track. So we need to come up with a few other ideas that will help us stay on track even when we're struggling, and that will keep us accountable for our actions even when we're not really feeling like sticking to a diet or doing the specific exercise we need to do. So here's our top 10 ways you can stay accountable and reach your goals. Number 1, weigh yourself. For a lot of people, if you're trying to lose weight or maybe you're trying to reduce body fat, become fitter or slimmer, then weighing yourself is really an essential part. Now, having a good relationship with the scales can be difficult for some of us. We don't want to get on there. It can maybe force us to think a negative way about the scales. We don't want to go on there because we don't want to see the reality of what has happened. The scales don't care about your goals. They're just going to measure your weight. So if you want something to keep you accountable in your weight loss journey, then you're going to need to make sure that you're tracking your weight. If your main aim is to lose weight, then you need to be tracking it. Because if you're not tracking it, then how do you know how well you're doing? So if you're trying to lose, say, maybe 5 to 6 kilos, and you don't weigh yourself for maybe 8 weeks, how do you know if you've gone up or down? So you would need to be tracking that to make sure that you are achieving the goals, and also make sure that you're on track to achieve that goal. If you're not on track, then you can adjust as you go. Although some people don't like the scales, it's a great way to keep you on track and keep you on your targets. You can also adjust each week depending on how often you do it. There's quite a few mass population studies that look at the people that weigh themselves daily or weekly compared to people that weighed themselves every month. And the people that weighed themselves daily or weekly had a greater fat loss and overall reduction in body weight than the people that weighed themselves monthly. Again, those people that are weighing themselves daily and weekly can make smaller alterations daily to make sure that they hit their overall goal. Whereas if you're doing it monthly, you can't make those micro adjustments that are really going to help your weight loss. In the health and fitness industry, we try and track everything. If you're lifting in the gym, you're going to track your overall weights that you're lifting, what your PBs are, what overall weights you're trying to hit that day. And you're going to track how well you're doing over a specific amount of time. We also like to track, if you've got Fitbits and things like that, your heart rate. We like to track your calories you've burnt that day. If you're obviously eating as well, we like to track our calories and our macros. So making sure we track our weight is going to be another important part of that. One of the best things you can do is find yourself some scales that allow you to take a body fat reading. Usually these scales are relatively cheap and they can give you a pretty accurate reading of body fat, visceral fat, and also muscle mass. So you'll be able to know what your actual overall weight is. You'll be able to see maybe what your water weight is as well. These scales are a great way to make sure that you're really micro-tracking and seeing if your muscle mass is going up, seeing if your body fat is going down, and making sure that your overall weight is reducing the way that you want it to go. That way, you can see each week what you need to improve and what you need to recorrect for the next week. So if your muscle mass is down, you can add in more strength training, or if you're on the right path and you're reducing body fat, you can make sure you sustain that path and keep it going for the next few weeks. Number 2, use a tape measure. Tape measure is going to be really handy in seeing your actual size. Just like scales, we're going to be measuring the body. If you're trying to increase your bicep size, you might want to try and measure it every maybe 2 to 3 weeks, making sure that you're on progress and increasing your bicep size. Same with if you're trying to lose weight, you might measure your overall waist to make sure that you're reducing your waist size, reducing areas of the body. Measuring areas like waist, hips, thighs, chest, arms, and also around the neck, you'll start to see where your body fat is coming off the body. Because muscle takes up less overall volume than fat, what you'll see, even if you're not seeing the weight loss on the scales, is that you'll know that you're reducing the overall body fat if your waist and your thighs are reducing in overall mass. Also, a tape measure is a really inexpensive way to track your overall progress and make sure that you're on target to achieve your dream body. Number 3, track your food. Tracking your food can sometimes be pretty tough for a lot of people. Again, it can be a bit of a no-go for some people. They don't want to spend the time and the effort tracking their food. Some people don't like to track their food, and fair play to you, you don't necessarily need to. But tracking your food will help to keep you on track, especially if you're trying to lose weight and you're trying to maintain a calorie deficit. It's going to be ideal in helping to track what's going in and your expenditure out. Tracking your food can be as simple as even writing down a food diary, writing down what you had for breakfast, lunch, dinner, any snacks, any teas or coffees or drinks that you had throughout the day. And then at the end of the week, you review that and see what it says on the scales, or see what your body fat measurements are reading, or even the waist measurements are reading. Then you'll be able to correlate if you've gone up, maybe where you've gone wrong, or if you've gone down, what you did well. Tracking your food is a really important thing because knowing what you're eating is important for weight loss. Knowing the quality and the quantity of what you're eating is probably the most important thing for overall weight loss. So if you're trying to lose weight and you're not tracking and you're really finding it hard, maybe try tracking using things like MyFitnessPal that are super easy to use. Doesn't take too long once you've inputted most of your major meals, and again, it's quite easily and accessible on most mobile phones. Number 4, have a fitness buddy. Having a friend or a fitness buddy that you can go through your overall weight loss or transformation with is really, really helpful, especially if you're trying to lose a lot of weight and it's going to be tough. That road is a long road, so making sure that you've got someone that can go along with it and support you is going to be hugely beneficial. Having a fitness buddy is going to be really beneficial when it gets tough. Those first weeks when it's a little bit easier, everything's fine, but then after you're maybe 6-8 weeks into a program and it's getting tougher, you're finding the diet more difficult to maintain, or you're finding those cravings or temptations coming in, that's when your fitness buddy is going to be there and keep you on track. Especially if your fitness buddy is a friend or a partner and you're going through this process together, you're going to be less likely to cheat because you don't want to let them down. It also makes eating out and social experiences a lot easier. Having someone that you can rely on, making sure that you want to eat the healthy foods and make good options in a social experience. Whereas on the long run, people going on their own can buckle to social pressures. So make sure if you've got that buddy with you, you stick together, you keep coming to the gym together, you work out together, you eat the similar foods, and you make sure that when that other partner is struggling, you pick them up and they'll do the same to you. Number 5, set dates. If you're trying to be more accountable, setting a date is going to be hugely effective in you achieving your goal. If you wanted to go of losing some weight, but you don't set a date, then obviously that date is perpetual. Having a specific date in mind can be a huge motivator, especially when it comes to weight loss or getting in shape. Making sure that you achieve something by a specific date, say you're going on holiday, or you've maybe got a wedding, or you want to fit into a certain piece of clothing by a specific time, is a great motivator to help you keep on track. One of the biggest reasons why people come to see people like myself and they want to train is because they have maybe some specific date in mind where they want to be fitter, they want to be healthier for maybe a holiday or an event. Now, having that date in mind is a huge motivator for them, but it also gives them a specific goal and a deadline. A deadline can be a good motivator for helping you achieve that goal. The great thing about a deadline or that end date is that that's going to keep you accountable. That date isn't going to change, it isn't going to move, and you've got to keep going towards that, and every day you get closer, you've got less time. Because you have that end date in mind, it's going to keep that body on track and it's going to keep your head focused on the prize. So that overall long-term goal is great, but having that deadline or a specific date where you want to achieve something is going to be really ideal in helping you achieve that goal. Number 6, make sure your why is really worth it. Your reason for doing something can sometimes be the biggest contributor to whether you're going to achieve that result or not. For instance, if you were losing a little bit of weight to look better, maybe your motivation isn't as high as if it was for a health reason. Maybe you found out you had a few health issues, and staying healthy is obviously a huge motivation for most of us. So making sure that we are healthy and able to function in normal day-to-day activities is really important. So if you found out that you weren't so healthy and you need to make a few changes, then that's going to be a huge motivator towards your overall improvements. Some people, their motivations are for family. They want to make sure that they're healthy and fit for their kids, or maybe even grandkids. They want to make sure that they're active and able to do things for those kids and not a hindrance as they get older. And there's probably going to be no motivation like a parent doing something for their kids. So try and pick something that's really going to pull on your heartstrings, really going to make you motivated, especially when you don't feel like doing it. What's going to allow you to go over that edge? If your reason why isn't strong enough, then what you may find is that it's so much easier to quit because, again, you don't want it that bad. Try and find something that really pulls on the heartstrings, that's close to your inner desires. Like we said, maybe something to do with family or something to do with a long-term goal of yours. Maybe it's confidence. Whatever it is, something that's really going to motivate you and get you out of bed in the morning to focus on that goal. Especially when it gets tough, that's when you really need a strong why. Number 7, download an app. Most of us these days have smartphones, and the great thing about smartphones is that there's loads of apps out there that can help you stay on track and stay fit. If you're looking for something to stay accountable, then there's so many apps out there that can really help keep you on track over the long term. Apps and certain technologies like Fitbit and MyFitnessPal are great because they're going to keep you accountable for what you're doing in the day. How much food you're eating, what kind of food you're eating, are you hitting your targets that you set for yourself, are you hitting the calories that you want to set for yourself, or are you overeating on that day? That app's going to help you stay accountable and go, have I eaten more, have I eaten less, have I eaten the right amount that I need to eat for my goals? Also things with Fitbit, that's going to tell you your activity levels, as well as things like pedometers that help track your steps and how much you're moving. Fitness trackers and watches are going to be a great supplement to that because they're going to give you data on what you're doing each day. They're going to be able to tell you how many calories you've burnt that day, how much you've moved, how many steps you've done, and how many calories that's burnt. So that way you can see how many calories you've burnt and how many calories you consumed. Are you on track to achieve your goals? As well as this, there's tons of apps out there that offer fitness advice, exercises, as well as workout ideas. It doesn't matter if you're a total beginner, there's probably an app out there that's designed to help you. So if you haven't looked already, have a little look on the App Store and maybe you might be able to find something that helps you. Number 8, record your results. One of the biggest things that I always say to people is that you want to remember where you came from. When you start some kind of fitness program, you want to start recording straight away. You want to record all your baseline measurements, weight, height, overall body fat, overall body mass, muscle mass, as much of those baseline measurements as you can. The great thing about tracking these measurements is that after a few months of training, you'll get to see exactly where you've came from and where you used to be, and now where you are and where you can go. Tracking exercise as well is going to be hugely beneficial. Things like even your steps, how many steps you did each day, and then tally them up at the end of the week and then the end of the month, and see if each week you can beat that or you're achieving the same as the week before. You can also do this with gym sessions or workout sessions, even if you're playing sport. You can tick how many times you've exercised each week and then check at the end of each week if you've maintained or you've slightly under or slightly over what you usually do. If you're not seeing any results, then maybe you can up those exercise sessions or increase your workouts, make the intensity harder, increase the rep range, increase the sets, or increase the overall volume of training. Number 9, set achievable targets. When we're setting targets or goals, especially for weight loss, we want to make sure that they're achievable. We don't want to set unachievable targets that are going to be demoralizing if we don't hit them. When setting targets, we want to make sure that we see steady improvements each week. So if we were to see massive weight loss one week and then massive weight gain the next week, that's not steady. But smaller increased gradual gain in muscle mass and smaller decrease in overall body fat would be a very, very great way to start your program. Making sure your dietary program is going to be something you can stick to and actually maintain is really important. Obviously, there are very effective ways of decreasing overall weight very, very fast, but the hard thing is when you finish that program for a specific amount of time, how do you maintain that weight loss? So maintaining an overall calorie deficit or maintaining an overall weight loss over a period of time is difficult if you're going very up in weight and down in weight very, very fast. We don't want to go up and down in weight. We want to just a very slow decrease in overall weight. If you're trying to lose body fat, setting yourself a small goal that's achievable each week where you can lose a small amount, but over the course of 2 to 3 months, that will add up to a massive change in your overall body look and feel. Another great goal setting idea is to hit a certain amount of calories that you're going to consume each day and a certain amount of calories that you're going to burn each day. That's a really great idea, especially if you've got a fitness tracker that can help you with that. It's going to give you the confidence, but also empower you to be able to know that you're on track and that you're improving and getting towards your overall goal. For example, if you were to set yourself a goal of maybe walking 10,000 steps each day, if you achieve that each day and you lose some weight by the end of the week, perfect, you've achieved that week, tick. But then next week, if you don't achieve your steps, the following week, you're more likely to try and achieve that same amount of steps or even more again. The great thing about walking is it's one of the easiest forms of exercise. Anyone can pretty much do it. So if you've hit 10,000 steps every day for a week, but then one day you only hit 8,000, you're probably more likely to put on your running trainers after dinner and then head out for an extra brisk walk to try and achieve that 10,000. Having that goal each day in the back of your mind, knowing that hitting that goal each day will lead to you hitting your bigger overall goal, is going to give you that confidence that you're on track and going to hit your goal. Number 10, set up a reward system. Losing weight for a long time can be really, really tough. And if you haven't set up a reward system, then you're more likely to fail. Rewards are just going to help you focus on that next point, achieving a target and then achieving that reward. It can also be a great motivator for helping you achieve that target because then you attain something or you get to do something. Rewards could be anything from achieving a 3 to 4 kilo weight loss in a month and then giving yourself a reward of a massage as a congratulations to yourself. It could also be achieving a target of, say, a specific body fat reduction and giving yourself the leniency to have one of your favorite meals that you haven't eaten for the last month, and then that's going to give you the motivation to carry that on through the next month. It's also a great idea to reward yourself with things that you're cutting out that aren't essential for your overall weight loss. So if you're trying to decrease your overall amount of alcohol that you consume in a month and you don't drink any alcohol for a month, maybe you can reward yourself by having maybe one glass of wine on a weekend just to reward yourself as a pat on the back that you've achieved your result, and then you're going to keep going for the next month. That way you don't have to live without a certain thing, but you can reward yourself with that. So these are just a few ways of keeping accountable, guys. Hopefully that's helped you. Hopefully that can keep you on track and keep you accountable to yourself. Even if you use just one of those tricks or tips, hopefully that will be the thing that may just push you over the edge and push you in the right direction. Use as many of them as you can. Even if you just use one, whatever it takes to make you accountable is going to be beneficial in the long run. If you can, try and look at one that you can start today and maybe for the next week or 3 weeks, try and implement that into your life. Then once you've got that one ingrained in your life, try and add in another one. The more of these accountability measures that you have in your life, the more effective your weight loss or your overall body fat reduction is going to be, and hopefully you'll achieve your results a lot quicker. Hopefully that helped, guys, and I'll see you soon.